database partitions, I've created a table called product sales, and it has these four attributes: product ID, quantity, product price, and year. And I've created four different partitions for our example in this case, and those partitions are based on the financial year, and if you notice, that's the value which is defined. So for partition 1, any record which is less than 2015 will go into partition 1. Any record which is greater than 2015, less than 16, will go into partition 2. And likewise, it will be split with partition 3 and 4. Alright, I've created two target tables, one with partitions and the other without partitions. So this one is without partitions and this is with partitions. It's a straightforward mapping with a sorter and an aggregator. Obviously, I've sorted it based on the product ID ascending, and I did not select any distinct value here. And in the aggregator transformation, and it is grouped by product transformation. And in the aggregator transformation here, I'm saying the input is with the sorter transformation will improve the performance of, but this target is without partitions. Both are Oracle tables. All right. Now let's run each of these workflows to see how it goes. So let me open the workflow which is set as with partitions. So I'll open it, go to config object, go to mappings, partitions, select the product sales, edit partition points. By default it will be pass through as always, but I've selected this as database partitions. This is with partitions, so I click on target, click on edit. I've selected pass through. I can also select database partitions here. Click OK, apply, OK, Control S. Let's execute this, then we'll come back for the without partitions. So that's with partitions. Okay, I select the target, click on edit partition points, and that is set to pass through. Now this has to be passed through even if it has database partitions because this is a target. So I click OK, click OK again, press, and start workflow. Let's go to the workflow manager. That's running, and that got succeeded. So let me expand the run times. Notice my first partition was all the records which are below 2015, right below year 2015. Let me just quickly write a query. Select count of distinct year, count of 1 from product sales. Now I've written a query here which to show the distinct year and the count of records for each year. So for 2015 or 2014, which is less than 2015, I have 103612. Let me copy this, Control C, and paste it here. So partition 1, 103612, that's all records which are less than 2015. So these are all belonging to year 2014. Next one is partition 2, 1038381. That is all records between 2015 to 2016. And the last one is 3971. So based on the type of partition you've selected, at the source level and at the target level, I have the exact number of records which have been created. So if we go to the session log now and verify the total number of reader and writer threads here, notice you have reader number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Similarly, you have 4 transformer threads. Writer you will see only one because it's always a pass-through partition. So that's with partitions. Now let's run the workflow without partitions. So I'll go back to the workflow manager. Without partitions is the same data from the source, but this target table do not have any partitions with it. So let me open this session, expand it, config object, mapping, partitions, source, edit partitions, source, edit partitions. That's set to pass through. Let me change it to database partitioning. Click OK. This is without partitions, right? So I click on edit partition point, and that is set to pass through. Click OK, Control S, and start workflow. Workflow is running here. This is the one. Start workflow. Let's go to the workflow manager. This is the session, and that's running already. That is succeeded. Okay. Notice there is no division of any source partitions or target partitions, and all the data has been read from the source, and it is grouped by based on the product ID and it is loaded into the target. So this is without partitions. So if you look at the overall run times here, the start time of this is 12:13 and it ended at 12:15. The same thing when it is partitioned earlier, if you look at the overall run time, it started at 9:05 p.m. and ended at the same minute. But this guy without partitions has taken 2 minutes, 13 and 15, 2 seconds, 9:12 and 9:12. So if you notice the run times of the workflow without partitions, it started at 9:12:13 and ended at 9:12:15, which means it took about 2 seconds for it to process this 245K records. The similar set with partitions, if you look at the overall runtime, it has taken just 1 second. See, it started at 9500, ended at 9501 p.m. It's within 1 second, which means it has already improved the overall runtime by 50%. So that's the advantage of using the database partitions, or in general the partitions based on your need during any performance tuning exercise.